Though it seems funny now, but I'm telling you, at the time, it wasn't funny at all. My primary school classmates really did me dirty, and I'm going to tell you what happened. Hi guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judy Ferries, and over here we talk about all things hair care, food, lifestyle, everything we talk about everything. So today I'll be telling you guys about something that happened way back in my primary school, and I'm not proud of it, and my mom doesn't even know about this. She'll be watching this video and she'll be like, really? Because we thought you were in school. Anyways, it's one of those things that happens. Back then we had our primary schools, and we could go out at break time. We could go out to get something. We could also go out to visit our friends and all of that. We had long break and short break. So long break was the one that allowed us more time to explore, more time to go out to get food at a far place, somewhere really far from our school. Sometimes we would go to visit our friends and all of that, all those childish things that we did then. Yes, so it happened that we had so many of these textbooks and storybooks that we used to buy then at that age. Some of us collected just mini storybooks, and we had most of them talking about the animal kingdom. And so yes, they painted this picture in our minds that there was actually a place where we have lots of animals. There was actually a place where you have the king of the jungle, like the animal, and then you have other animals that are just there, getting food for the king. And then we have the tortoise stories, and we have stories of the hare that runs fast, all of that. So we had this imagination in our head that there was a physical animal kingdom. And to make matters worse, I had classmates that claimed they've seen it. Everyone wants to see something like that. When your classmate tells you, oh, I went to the animal kingdom yesterday and I saw lion, I saw this, I saw that. Everybody will want to tag along and be like, oh, I need to see that too. Little did we know that we were in for something really serious. So on a fateful day, few of my friends in my class decided that we want to go to the animal kingdom. And they were like, are you going to come with us? So I said yes. And yeah, so we ventured out at about 1 p.m. That was the closing hour for the first half of school, and then from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. is what we call lesson. It's like further classes that we have after the normal school hours, which is from 8 to 1 p.m. So we ventured out. I don't remember how many we were, but I know we were about 4 to 5, and we were going to the animal kingdom, guys. We set out and we embarked on this trip to see the animal kingdom. We went far away from school, not too far though, because it was still around the same environment, just a different street, but quite some distance from the school. We had our uniforms on, so yeah, I didn't realize then that we couldn't get lost because we had our uniforms on, and so if anything happens, we'll be taken back to the school. But yeah, so we continued going, and then it got to a point where I'm like, haven't we gotten to where we are going to? Where is the animal kingdom? I can't see anything. And then our friends were like, it's still in front, let's keep going, it's still in front. Only for us to get to a point where we saw a dog, and then the dog started barking at us. You know how children can be. You see a dog and you think of throwing stones at the dog, or throwing anything at the dog, or trying to bark like the dog. So this dog got really angry and he started chasing us, and that was the beginning of my worries, because at this time the friends I had, they split. Some went this way, some went the other way, and then I didn't know where to go. So I stood because I couldn't catch up with them, and I wasn't sure if where they were going to would lead us back to the school. So I stayed back and I was shouting at them, the dog is not coming anymore, where are you guys? There is no dog chasing us anymore. So I was screaming and shouting at them to come back, only for one person. I think her name was Ufoma. I think so. I think her name is Ufoma. I couldn't forget that name. I think it's Ufoma. Only for her to come back. She was the only person out of about 5 or 6 of my classmates that ventured off to the animal kingdom. She came back and then she told me to follow her. And then I followed her and she ran. Both of us. We ran. We followed another route and then we got to a place that connected, and then I could now see my school area. Immediately we were coming from the routes we followed, we saw the other classmates coming from the opposite direction, and then we met and hugged and all of that. But you know, it didn't end there, because that taught me something. I had how many classmates that I went out with, and I was scared, and I was in a situation where anything could have happened, but only one person turned back. Sometimes when I remember what I went through then, sometimes when I remember the entire experience of going to that animal kingdom, mind you, there was no animal kingdom. The person that came up with that silly idea later apologized and said that there was no animal kingdom and she only was just joking. And then she took us way far from school, only to almost get into trouble. What if we got beat by a dog?
So I actually just thought of it, but the reason they did not stop running was because they were familiar with the area. As a matter of fact, I think one of us actually lived in that area, and so it's a usual path that they follow to school. I was the only one that wasn't familiar with the area. Oh, Chim.
What if we got beat by a dog? Anything could have happened, and you know, we were kids, and you know, I can't imagine something like that happening presently, because you know how terrible our environment is. There are lots of people that are like prey on children. There are lots of people that are willing to do bad things to children, kidnapping and all of that. So this is not something that I wouldn't feel okay if my child was experiencing this or telling me they went for this at this time. And I'm sure my parents would have also felt the same way, but they didn't know, they never got to know, and you know, that's part of what happens when you're in primary school. So yeah, we returned back to school and had a normal school day, went back home, and you know, everyone was, you know, excited and sharing the story. You know, part of the excitement was being chased by the dog at that point in time. You know, kids are silly, and these are things that our parents would hear and cringe really bad. But for us kids, it was something to joke about. It was something to laugh about. And somehow I feel like what I can take from that story is actually not leaving school with your friends to see something that doesn't exist. It's actually the fact that when we were in danger, or when I felt I was in danger, out of the friends I had then, only one person looked back and said we had somebody with us that didn't know the way. That was the only person that went back, you know, to help me out, and then both of us, we ran together and we got back to the school. So I kind of hold this story dear. For years, I haven't forgotten this particular story. I haven't told much people. I doubt if my mom is even aware of this, and it was as funny as it was. There was something about the story that reminds me of how people can be. You know, it reminds me of how people can be. You know, at a time when you need help, most times you won't have those people that were cheering you on. You won't have them on your side. Sometimes you may have just one person. Sometimes you may meet somebody at random that would, you know, lead you on to the right path. So yeah, that's how I see it. So guys, tell me what you think about this story. Yeah, I know children are silly. I know children are crazy. Yeah, it was very crazy of us to even want to believe that there was something like the animal kingdom. But then when you paint all of this picture to us, our young minds can only but process these things, and our minds will just wander off to, oh, what does it look like? We really want to see what this looks like. And I'm sure that's the same with every child. I'm sure our imaginations as children was steadily running wild, and that's exactly why we need to, control what our children see, and we need to also speak to them and tell them about these things. So these textbooks, the stories, they are fictional, and you just have to read it and pick the good parts. There are lessons. Most of these stories have lessons attached to them that we need to reassure the kids of, and we need to let them know that this is actually the main aim of the story, and there is actually nothing more to it. There is no animal kingdom anywhere to see, and don't go wandering off from school because you are looking for an animal kingdom that doesn't exist.